higher yields, lower cost, and we came out with a clear and definitive answer that E. coli was the way to go. Not only was it the way to go from an economic and scientific standpoint, but it was also the way to go from an IP standpoint. We have much stronger patent positions and patent families with the E. coli bacteria. So fast forward many years, we have now run proof of concept of our biosynthesis technology in a number, more than a handful, less than a dozen cannabinoids at desktop, and our 100%. Our batting average is 1,000. Okay, so the technology works, the technology is extremely robust, and now the point is to get from desktop to commercial scale. And there are many different things that we can do with this in terms of revenue generation, as well as providing cannabinoids for our own R&D platform. So again, I'm just going to go through a few slides here because the clock isn't working, which means as soon as you start the clock, I got 20 minutes. Sorry, guys. So we explore all the potential of the 90 plus cannabinoids. We are uninterested 100% in THC. Everybody has explored THC for every known disease to man, every delivery system. Nothing really that new out there. I hope, I'm certainly not here to bash any companies that are working with THC or CBD. It's great. And we're very, very thankful for all the work that's been done by the industry. We view this as sort of paving the platform for the next generation of technology. We select cannabinoids or combinations thereof that have potential to regulate life-threatening diseases or diseases with high unmet medical need, and I'll talk about just one of them. And again, the silver lining of this biosynthesis is the host bacteria only knows how to produce or manufacture what it is told to produce, right? It doesn't have a brain. It just, the throughput is exactly what you put into it. I liken it to a photocopy machine. You put a piece of paper on it with your lease agreement, and the only thing that can come out is the lease agreement, right? That is what's going on in biosynthesis. And the last thing that I'm going to talk about on this slide is the fact that we very much believe, and we have so much data on this, it's interesting, that the way for us to work, at least right now, with cannabinoids is not through systemic exposure. Systemic exposure has all sorts of shortcomings, but actually find diseases that are superficial and treat them with a topical medication. Okay, so skin condition would be treated with a cream or a lotion. Glaucoma is another one of our indications, is treated with eye drops. No pills going on here. Diseases that are superficial or their exposure is superficial, and treat them topically. Okay, I'm really going to fly here. Can we get this clock working? I have no idea how I'm doing on time. Or just tell me, is it 5 minutes, 7 minutes left? Okay, so this is our pipeline. INM 750 is our most advanced product. We will be in the clinic, God willing, within 6 months. We are in IND-enabling toxicology studies right now. We have scheduled meetings with the FDA as well as the Canadian authorities. It's most likely that our phase 1 is going to occur in Canada because things progress much more quickly there, but it will also be under the auspices of the FDA as well. Epidermolysis bullosa, for those that don't know the indication, I'll get to it in a minute, is what we call the worst disease that you've never heard of. It's an inherited disease, it's genetic, so children have it, they're afflicted with it, and if you've heard of butterfly children with extremely flaky and fragile skin, that's what it is. There are no drugs on the market. It is currently treated with a plethora of ointments and oils and wrappings and things like that. But these children, it's really an awful disease. I had the fortune or the misfortune to meet, a dozen of them at a gala dinner for the organization called Deborah, and they are bandaged, I kid you not, from head to toe. 24/7, it takes 4 hours to change their dressing. It's extremely, extremely painful, and nothing works. But guess what? We have found 2 particular cannabinoids that both relieve the symptoms and hopefully put the disease into remission. We're also working on glaucoma, super interesting, and orofacial pain, trigeminal neuralgia, okay, which emanates from the trigeminal nerve and goes here, here, and here, and can be treated topically, and also a very bad disease. One important thing that we have learned, and this actually, I just talked to the boss last night about it, is cannabinoids they're extremely lipophilic, okay? Meaning they love lotion, they love fat, they love oil. They have a really, really, really hard time getting out of it, okay? So that has been a huge nut for us to crack. We've been working at this for about a year, and we finally believe that we came through a breakthrough within the last few months. I'm really going to fast forward through all of this because I simply don't have time. Let me spend some time on biosynthesis. Guys, there are two types of investments. There's the steak and there's the gravy. There's the steak and the sizzle, so to speak. This is the sizzle. This has the potential to disrupt the entire industry. This has the potential to put the growers out of business, simply because it's much more efficient, much more cost effective, and the yield and the cost model that we think we're going to be able to go to will be very difficult for anybody to compete with. We already have a number of anecdotal stories where some of the growers and some of the other folks in the cannabis industry have called us, asking us if we can supply them with whatever it is, THC or CBD for now. And the answer is we will be able to, hopefully very soon, but it's not now. Stay tuned. These guys don't want to be farmers. They have no interest in being farmers. We're now about pesticides, precipitation, ground conditions, so on and so forth. It's not, this is not a new economy type of business model. They would much rather have a business model where literally in a room this size, we can supply the entire industry with every known cannabinoid demand at a commercial scale. Okay, so what is the business model? So the business model emanated with the fact that we needed drug supply for our own medications, right? But now that we built this technology, we're gonna go to town with it. The first one is to become a service provider in some way, shape, or form, either some sort of API or cost plus method of pricing to supply folks that are working on cannabinoids for other indications. So for example, this is just an example. If GW Pharmaceuticals were to say, to hell with it, we're sick of farming. InMed, can you provide us CBD in mass quantity and commercial scale? Okay, that will be a very interesting call to receive and to work on. What about when Big Pharma decides to go in a bigger way into cannabinoids, right? If Merck, Pfizer, Lilly say, listen, we know we've done a lot of bench research and we know that a combination or some of these cannabinoids could be very effective in COPD or lung cancer or glioblastoma or you name it. They don't have a pharmaceutical grade, robust way to source cannabinoids, and they're not going to start growing, fields of weed. That is never going to happen. They're going to look for people that have been FDA certified that can provide FDA certified and commercial scale cannabinoids, and we are going to be there. I'm going to skip over the flavors and fragrances, which is super interesting, but you've heard of terpenoids, limonene, things like that. Basically, those are the ingredients for all sorts of good smelling types of things that come from chemical synthesis of cannabinoids. We're going to disrupt that. What about the legal cannabis market, right? What about this $35 or $50 billion a year market where it's a race to the bottom? The growers are getting pinched with margins and all sorts of conditions, inaccuracy in conditions of the cannabis, and if we are able to get competitive on the cost structure, where we can provide the legal or recreational market with drug supply, that will be huge. That will be highly, highly differentiated, and I don't think we are that far off. And by the way, all these folks are interested, the growers, they just want drug supply for their product. You know, they have no pride of how they get to their product. They want to be able to put a lotion or a cream or an oil or a gummy or a blunt or whatever it is on the shelf for, you know, for their clients. And, you know, if we are able to do that in a cost-effective way and minimize the disruption in their business model, we'll be in very good shape. Oh my God, this slide is so complicated. And I gotta wrap it up. Okay, so, wow. Okay, let me just talk really quickly about EB. Sorry, 2 minutes, 1 minute, whatever. EB, the worst disease that you've never heard of. Actually, take a look at this poor little child right here. Okay, again, this is a genetic disorder. I've seen it with my own eyes. If you haven't, you can put it into YouTube. It is awful. And this comes about, there are 4 types of EB. The one that we're working on is the biggest one. It's called EB simplex. 65% of the patients. It's a super rare disease. Okay, we're talking about incidence in the first world of 50,000 patients. Yet the standard of care sucks, quite frankly. It's a bunch of oils and lotions and wrappings that don't really work. It's just trying to protect exposed wounds. And what we do is we get to the heart of the disease, right? There are 2 layers of the skin, the epidermis and the dermis. In between, there's a glue. Children with EB don't have the glue, or they have a highly defective glue. We hope to re-glue them. Okay, gosh, I gotta wrap it up, as they say. Okay, good team, except for the guy on the right. I don't know, they found me on the street and felt sorry for me. But everybody else has really great experience. The boss spent many years at Abbott. He's an expert. He's a great leader, but he's an expert in commercialization. We're going to take EB to the market. The CFO is amazing. And here is our scientific staff. We are a hardcore research company. We are researching the hell out of each of the cannabinoids and finding practical applications for them. Great board. Okay, coming up, let me just give you a couple of, there are 2 catalysts that I'm going to talk about which are huge. The first catalyst is on the EB program. We will be in human trials, God willing, within the next 6 months. It's a short trial, it's a 6-week trial, and hopefully we'll be able to finish the phase 1 by the end of 2001 and get into phase 2, and I can very easily see a possibility where the regulators say, guys, we like what we see, why don't you just run this through a pivotal study? The second one is the moment that we're able to say that we can produce a cannabinoid at commercial scale, we're golden, okay? And that is not that far away. We hope within about a year or so. We are greasing the wheels right now, working with a couple of different vendors to really bring this technology to the next level, and those are going to be huge, huge things. And I can guarantee you, when I come back here next year in January, our stock price is not going to be anywhere near 37 cents. So we're traded on the TMX and over the counter right now. We have aspirations to come to New York, either New York or NASDAQ, sooner rather than later. And although I'm not here to give investment advice, Josh Blatcher is personally putting his own money in. Bosch just threw in a bunch of money into the stock. Valuation has never been cheaper. And I thank you for your attention.